Okay, the meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Ready?
We'll begin in 1:30.
Hey, Meg, we'll let you give the green light when it's time to start.
Okay. Okay, swatches say 1:30.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you all to this very important meeting today, Tuesday, August 18th, 2020, being held in the Microsoft Teams platform via video conference. Please note, this meeting is being recorded and feature public comments. Commissioners are asked to mute their microphones when they're not speaking and to verbally identify themselves prior to comments. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, this is Regina Jackson, Planning Administrative Assistant. I will now confirm that all members of the Planning Commission are present and can hear me by calling the roll. Commissioners, when I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Thompson.
Present.
Commissioner Youngblood.
Present.
Commissioner Thaxton.
Present.
Commissioner G.
Present.
Commissioner Coleman. Commissioner Coleman. Six members of the Planning Commission are present. This public meeting of Planning Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Northam's March the 12th, 2020 executive order. Due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth, given the outbreak of COVID-19, a quorum of the commission is not physically present in the meeting location, but members have joined remotely. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the city's planning department's webpage with agenda materials for this meeting, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will be recorded and feature public comment. Even if members of the public do not provide comment, participants are advised that people may be listening who do not provide comment, and those persons are not required to identify themselves. For this meeting, Planning Commission is convening by video conference via Microsoft Teams app as posted on the city's webpage, identifying how the public may join.
Commissioners, before you are the minutes of the March 30th, 2020 public hearing. Do any commissioners have any corrections or changes to the minutes? If so, please state your name before stating your changes. If there aren't any changes, we are in need of a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the March the 3rd, 2020 public hearing. Commissioners, as I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson.
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood.
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton.
Yes.
Commissioner G.
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman.
Yes.
The minutes are approved by a vote of 6-0. Announcements of future meetings and conferences. Please note that our next scheduled public hearing is Tuesday, September the 1st at 1:30 p.m. The public hearing will be held in the Microsoft Teams platform via video conference. Items reviewed today will be presented to City Council for action at their September the 8th, 2020 or September the 22nd, 2020 virtual meeting or as otherwise noted. We also ask that you mute your microphones when you're not speaking and to verbally identify yourself prior to making comments. Our first public hearing items are UP-20-05 and UP-20-06, which is Seaboard Square. Kirk Fairley of Capital Growth Ballhalter requests a use permit to construct a 2,500 square foot restaurant with drive-through on an approximately 13.9 acre parcel located at 1817 Frederick Boulevard, that's Suite 3 and Suite 1. Z20-04 Seaboard Square, Kurt Fairley of Capital Growth Bachelor request to rezone approximately 13.9 acres at 1817 Frederick Boulevard from general mixed use conditional GMUK to general mixed use conditional GMUK to amend the proffers to allow an automotive repair and servicing without painting body work facility and a car wash as part of the Seaboard Commons retail development. The applicant has determined a need to make modifications to the applications UP-20-05, UP-20-06, and Z-20-04, and request that the three items be deferred until the October Planning Commission meeting. These items will be completely re-advertised. The Planning Commission will not open the public hearing nor take any staff or applicant comments at this time. Our next item, UP-20-07 Seaboard Square. Kurt Fairley of Capital Growth Bachelor requests a use permit to construct an oil change facility, automobile repair and servicing without painting bodywork facility at 1817 Frederick Boulevard, Suite 4. Approval of UP-20-07 is contingent upon approval of Z-20-04. The applicant has withdrawn this application. Our next item, SUB-20-016 Woodland Park. Mark H. Ricketts of AES Consulting Engineering, agent for the Portsmouth Economic Development Authority, requests to subdivide 31.39 acres of undeveloped land into 197 townhouse residential lots. The property is zoned urban residential high density, URH. The comprehensive plan recommends mixed residential development for this area. The property is further described as tax map 517, parcel 2. The applicant has requested a deferral of this application until the September Planning Commission meeting. Our next item, Z-20-03 Churchland. Daniel Heatwell of Ripley Heatwell Company requests to rezone approximately 10.34 acres at 5601 High Street from general mixed use conditional GMUK to high intensity mixed use MUH in order to construct a 192 unit multi-family apartment community. Mr. Heatwell also requests to rezone approximately 2.16 acres at 3109 Tire Neck Road from general mixed use, GMU, to urban residential, high, UR. H, in order to construct a 40-unit multifamily apartment complex. The applicant is concurrently requesting a use permit for the multifamily use UP-20-04. The future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates both properties for commercial use. The property at 5601 High Street is owned by Victory Sterling Creek Commons, LLC, care of Victory Real Estate, and is further described as tax map 814, parcel 10. The property at 3109 Tire Neck Road is owned by William Copeland and is further described as tax map 815, parcel 2. The next item we will hear is the UP-20, and the presentation will be the same. This is the use permit. Daniel Heatwall of Ripley Heatwall Company requests a use permit to construct a 192-unit multifamily apartment community on approximately 10.34 acres at the density of 18.59 units per acre, located at 5601 High Street, and a 40-unit multifamily apartment community on approximately 2.16 acres at a density of 18.52 units per acre, located at 3109 Tire Neck Road. 5601 High Street is zoned General Mixed Use Conditional, JMUK, and 3109 Tire Neck Road is zoned General Mixed Use, GMU. The applicant is concurrently requesting to rezone both properties Z-2003, the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan future land use map designates both properties for commercial use. The property at 5601 High Street is owned by Victory Sterling Creek Commons, LLC, care of Victory Real Estate, and is further described as tax map 814, parcel 10. The property at 3109 Tire Neck Road is owned by William Copeland and is further described as tax map 815, parcel 2. Our staff coordinator for these applications is Julie Chop. Will the staff coordinator for the applications please come forward and present your application at this time?
Hold on a sec, Julie, before you start, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Secretary, we need to go back and have a vote on the deferral of the subdivision.
Okay.
And the Seaboard Common 3 applications.
Okay. So I'll go to the Seaboard Commons then, Seaboard Square. We need a motion to defer this to the October Planning Commission. So the motion would be to defer UP-20-05, UP-20-06, and Z-20-04 to the October Planning Commission meeting.
Commissioners, the chair is in need of a motion. Please state your name.
Sherry Thaxton. I'd like to make a motion to defer to the October 6th Planning Commission meeting, UP-20-05 Seaboard Square, UP-20-06 Seaboard Square, and Z-20-04 Seaboard Square.
The chair is in need of a second. Please state your name.
Peter Youngblood, I have second that.
Madam Secretary, we have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion and a second to defer UP-20-05, UP-20-06, and Z-20-04 4 to the October the 6th. As I call your name, would you respond with a verbal response? Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood,
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton,
Yes.
Commissioner G,
Yes.
and Commissioner Coleman.
Yeah.
These items will be deferred to the October the 6th Planning Commission meeting. Our next item is SUB-20-016. I need a motion to defer to the September 1st Planning Commission meeting.
Commissioners, the chair is in need of a motion.
Sherry Thaxton.
Commissioner Thaxton has made the motion. Is there a second?
Commissioner G, a second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a motion and a second to defer SUB-20-016 to the September the 1st Planning Commission meeting. As I call your name, please respond verbally. Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood,
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton,
Yes.
Commissioner G,
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman.
Yeah.
SUB-20-016 will be deferred until the September Planning Commission meeting. Okay. Now, our staff coordinator will do her presentation on her 2 items. Thank you, Ms. Cha.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Planning Commissioners. This is Julie Trout, Planner 1 with the City of Portsmouth. This rezoning application is being considered concurrently with a use permit application to build a phased 232-unit multifamily community called Port Apartments. My presentation will focus on both applications. Approval of the use permit is contingent upon approval of the rezoning request. Each application will require a separate vote. The rezoning and use permit applications before you today involve 2 parcels. 5601 High Street West is 10.34 acres, and 3109 Tire Neck Road is 2.16 acres. The applicant is requesting to rezone the High Street property from general mixed use conditional to high intensity mixed use. The Tire Neck property is currently zoned GMU, and the applicant is requesting to rezone this parcel to high density urban residential. The future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates both properties as commercial. In 1996, 5601 High Street West was rezoned and is currently subject to the proffers of Zoning Ordinance Amendment Z9611. The applicant intends for the existing proffers referencing parcel 5 within Z9611 to be extinguished with this rezoning application. Both properties are in the Churchland area of Portsmouth. 5601 High Street is the former site of a Kroger grocery store with an attached shopping center and a 2-tenant outparcel commercial building. 3109 Tire Neck Road contains a single-family dwelling. To the north of 5601 High Street is a Navy Federal Credit Union and a Masonic Lodge, which are both zoned GMU. An assisted living facility is located to the northeast of the property and is zoned high-density urban residential conditional. To the south and east of the High Street property is Sterling Cove apartment condominiums, which are 2-story duplex units that are zoned high-density urban residential conditional. The Gateway at Sterling Point Condominiums, a community of 10 2-story buildings with 37 units, are located to the southwest of 5601 High Street and are zoned high-density urban residential conditional. A one-story daycare is located on Trucker Street to the west of the site of interest and is zoned general mixed use. The 3109 Tire Neck Road site is bordered to the south by the gateway at Sterling Creek Condominiums. Across Tire Neck Road to the west of the site is a one-story pool house with a recreational pool, a one-story animal care facility, a two-story medical building, and a two-tenant building occupied by a worship center and a retail shop. The land to the west of 3109 Tire Neck Road is zoned general mixed use. To the north of the Tire Neck site is a one-story daycare center, a one-story medical building, and a two-story lawyer's office. All are zoned general mixed use. The 5601 High Street property, also a part of this rezoning, is to the east of the site. The applicant provided environmental delineations for both properties. The delineation for 5601 High Street verified 26 square feet of non-tidal adjacent wetlands. The wetlands are identified as a 0.4 acre stormwater management facility on the western edge of the property, adjacent to 3109 Tire Neck Road. A 2-acre, 100-foot RPA buffer has been established for the determined Chesapeake Bay protection area. The existing parking is permitted within the buffer area pursuant to Chapter 9.1-10 of the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Overlay District. For the 3109 Tire Neck Road property, the pre-jurisdictional determination verified 0.08 acres of non-tidal wetlands and one non-tidal perennial stream located along the eastern edge of the parcel. No development is proposed within the 100-foot RPA buffer on the Tire Neck property. The proposed conceptual plan includes 232 apartment units. The development of 5601 High Street will be developed as Phase 1 with 192 units, and 3109 Tire Neck will be developed as Phase 2 with 40 units. The entrances are shown on the conceptual site plan, with one entrance on Trucker Street, another on High Street, and the last on Tire Neck Road. Phase 1 will have 3 62-unit, 4-story apartment buildings with elevators, a 3,000 square foot community building with a clubhouse and fitness facility, and 351 parking spaces. A pool house and pool will also be built for use by the residents of Phase 1 and Phase 2. The applicant is requesting the use of the green building incentive section of the zoning ordinance to allow a 0.52 increase in the maximum density standard of 18 to achieve a density of 18.52. The outparcel two-tenant commercial building will remain as part of Phase 1. The Tire Neck property will be developed with a 40-unit, 4-story apartment building and approximately 78 parking spaces. The applicant submitted a traffic impact analysis for the proposed development. The TIA concluded that the existing roadway geometry will continue to provide acceptable operations through the study area with minor signal timing adjustments. These elevations show the units facing the parking area on the exterior of the development of Phase 1. This elevation shows the building facade facing the open space on the interior of the development on Phase 1. And these elevations display Phase 2 of the development. These facades face the parking area. These elevations show the facade facing Tire Neck Road of the Phase 2 building. The applicant recently submitted updated elevations adding additional articulation to the street-facing facade. UP 2004 will be subject to each of the 7 proposed conditions listed in the staff report. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning request from GMUK to MUH for the 5601 High Street West property, and the approval of the rezoning request from GMU to URH for the 3109 Tire Neck Road property. Staff also recommends approval of the use permit application to build the Port Apartments multifamily development. The proposed project will provide quality modern housing for Portsmouth. The proposal is consistent with the recommendations of the future land use map of the Build One Portsmouth comprehensive plan, and a detailed review of site-specific requirements and compliance with the zoning ordinance will be accomplished during the site plan review process. We did receive one email from a member of the community regarding this development, which was shared with the Planning Commission. Planning Commissioners, this concludes my presentation for Z2003 and UP 2004. I will now stand by for any questions before the applicant provides further details on these applications.
Commissioners, I will now call each of your names and provide an opportunity for you to have questions for Ms. Chop and or comments on Z20-03 and UP-20-04. I have none. Commissioner Thompson?
No questions.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Yes, my understanding is we only got one comment, and that was from Mrs. Sy. Were there any other neighbors that commented about this?
We received no other comments besides the email that was shared with the Planning Commissioners.
Thank you.
Hello?
Commissioner Thaxton?
No, sir, I have no questions.
Commissioner G?
I don't have any questions. I had one slight comment. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the fact that this is a proposal that's come before us in the past, and due to other issues was unable to be taken forward. And I just want to thank the applicant for working through the process and finding what looks to be a very positive result. And instead of just letting the project go because of different rules, actually expanding and making it a larger project and more impactful to the city. So that's my comment for them.
Commissioner Coleman?
No questions at this time.
Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the public hearing on items Z-20-03 and UP-20-04. Citizens will be called upon to provide comments or questions and are asked to verbally identify yourself prior to making comments and to mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Will the applicant for items Z-20-03 and UP-20-04 come forward to provide any additional information or comments? State your name and your address for the record. And since these are two items being discussed at the same time, you will be given up to 10 minutes to speak.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, members of the Commission, for the record, my name is Rob Beeman. I'm a local land use attorney with the law firm Troutman Pepper, here today on behalf of the applicant, Ripley Heatwool Company. Joining me this afternoon is Mr. Dan Heatwool, who's one of the principals of Ripley Heatwool. First, I'd like to thank Julie Chop and the rest of the Planning Department for all their hard work on this application and for the recommendation of approval. This application involves the site of the former Kroger grocery store off High Street and Trucker Street in Churchland, which has been vacant for the past several years, together with that adjacent parcel fronting Tire Neck Road. The applicant proposes to invest approximately $40 million to redevelop the property into a 232-unit, state-of-the-art, market-rate, multifamily residential community. The development would include a number of modern features, including a community lounge, meeting space, fitness center, outdoor pool, pool house, and an outdoor amenity area. The development has also been designed to provide a great deal of usable open space for recreational purposes, which totals approximately 4.3 acres, or more than 1/3 of the total area of the property. As Ms. Chop noted, the proposed development is consistent with the recommendations contained in the City Comprehensive Plan. The staff report notes that the proposed development is complementary to and supportive of the nearby commercial uses along High Street and Churchland Boulevard, and would provide quality modern housing for Churchland, which the staff report notes is very much needed. Additionally, from a planning perspective, the proposed development is much more compatible with the surrounding medium-density duplex and townhome uses than the commercial retail uses that are permitted under the existing zoning classification. With respect to traffic, the applicant has engaged McPherson Consulting to provide a comprehensive traffic study of the proposed use in the surrounding road network, and the applicant's traffic study has been submitted to and reviewed by the city staff. According to the study, the proposed community would generate significantly less traffic than the commercial retail uses that are currently permitted under the existing commercial classification. And to give you a specific example, the proposed development would generate only approximately 1/4 of the total traffic that would be generated if the existing grocery store building on the property were reopened by another grocery store user. Further, according to the traffic study, the proposed development will maintain existing levels of service on all of the adjacent roadways. So for those reasons, from a traffic perspective, the proposed residential zoning will be a significant upgrade from the current commercial zoning classification and will not adversely affect the surrounding road networks. Finally, I just wanted to note that with respect to public outreach, the applicant has met with and corresponded multiple times with both the board of the Sterling Cove Community Association and the Gateway at Sterling Point Condo Association, both of which abut the property. And has also reached out to multiple other property owners located in proximity to the site. We appreciate the feedback we've received from all those folks and have incorporated some of that feedback into the plans for the development. To conclude, the proposed residential community would be a significant upgrade of a largely vacant commercial center, would be compatible with surrounding land uses, would be consistent with the goals and recommendations of the comprehensive plan, and will provide needed support for the growth of the commercial base along High Street and Churchland Boulevard. Mr. Chairman, at this point, with a couple of minutes that we have remaining, I believe Dan Heatwell, my client, would like to make a few remarks regarding his company and the reasons his company is interested in further investing in Churchland. Dan?
Good afternoon. Thank you, members of the commission, for the opportunity to speak here and bring this application forth this afternoon. And thank you to Ms. Chop from the planning department. We've been working on this project for a long time, and she's been a great help walking us through the process and getting us here today. We first became involved in looking at this property in August of 2018, so 2 years ago, and it's been quite a long process to get here, and we're just very excited to be presenting this application today. I originally came before you all in October of last year on just the Tire Neck Road site here, which we deferred when some wetlands issues were discovered on that site. And we went back to the drawing board to take that into consideration and make sure we could propose a development that did not have any impact to those wetlands. As we did that, we originally became involved in this property exploring the vacant Kroger site, and it came back on the market. And so we were able to re-engage with the seller on that property to put forth the larger application that is before you today. A little bit about our company. Our company was founded in 1946. We are a three-generation company that is looking forward to a new development in the Churchland area. We currently own and manage 500 apartment units in the Churchland area of Portsmouth. West Winds Apartments, which we built in 1989 as a 408 unit market rate community, and Arbor Reach Apartments, which we built in 1997, is a 92 unit affordable community. We are not merchant builders. We are owner operators. From a development standpoint, we are the developer, we are the construction company, we are the property management company. We've owned and operated these communities for over 30 and over 20 years respectively. And so we're going to be a member of this community. We're not looking to develop this site to flip it to a national REIT or anything like that. We're going to be the folks involved in the management and on the ground here in the community, and are looking forward to taking the next steps on this project. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have or provide any additional insight if there are any questions.
Commissioners, I will call each of your names. If you have any questions for the applicant, we'll do so at that time. I have none. Commissioner Thompson?
I have no questions, but I think this is a great project, and thank you for bringing it to Portsmouth.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Yes, I'll echo that also. I think it'll be a good addition to the Churchland area. What's the approximate rental rate on these? You said they're market rate. What does that translate to for, say, a two-bedroom apartment?
Yes, sir. The proposed rental rates here are approximately $1,200 a month for a one-bedroom, $1,400 a month for a two-bedroom, and $1,600 a month for a three-bedroom apartment.
Wow.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Commissioner Thaxton?
I have no questions or comments. Thank you.
Commissioner G?
One follow-up question on what Commissioner Youngblood just asked. Could you review, so I know the prices just said, these are market rate. The other two developments you have, are they market rate? One of those was market rate, and I believe the other was income based. Was that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Arbor Reach Apartments is a 92 unit community that is an affordable community. West Winds Apartments is a 408 unit, and that is a market rate community.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Which, and just as an aside, currently West Winds, of those 408 units, we're sitting at 98.3% occupancy, 401 occupied units. And Arbor Reach is at 98.9% occupancy. 91 of the 92 units are occupied.
Great, thank you. Definitely, thank you for that information.
Commissioner Coleman.
No questions at this time.
Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the public hearing on items Z-20-03 and UP-20-04. Citizens will be called upon to provide comments or questions and are asked to verbally identify yourself prior to making comments and to please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. Would the applicant for items, oh no, that's not it. Pardon me, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, this public hearing on items Z-20-03 and UP-20-04, I have no registered speakers. If there is someone on the call who would like to address this application, you may do so at this time. Press *6 to unmute your mic, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak.
Can someone from the Sterling Cove Condominium Board speak and address concerns?
Sir, please identify yourself first.
I am William Vaughn, V-A-U-G-H-A-N, 3151 Sterling Way. I'm Vice President of Sterling Cove Condominiums.
Commissioners, my name is Robert Watkins. I live at 3127 Sterling Way in the Sterling Cove condominiums. I do have a question first. The traffic analysis study that was done made no mention of Bon Secours Way. This street gets constant traffic off of High Street, onto Churchland Boulevard, around Trucker to Tire Neck daily, and vice versa, to avoid the two lights there, the one at High Street and the one at Churchland Boulevard. Nowhere in the traffic analysis was this roadway mentioned as part of the analysis. Sometimes it's very difficult for the residents to come out of Sterling Cove and not see traffic as it comes around the corner. The other issue is that at the present time, with the COVID-19, there are no families present meeting with their loved ones, and most of the time, that street is used for street parking. And it's very difficult for traffic to get through two ways there. And I'm concerned with the apartments, it's just going to increase that much more. This is our only exit to get out to High Street or to Churchland Boulevard, is on Bon Secours Way. So again, I would like to see something else done, another traffic analysis done to include Bon Secours Way in this, for this project. I have nothing against the project, but I think it's it needs to be done to ascertain if there are is there any impact to that street, not just to Trucker, Churchland Boulevard, and Tire Neck. The other question I have is, are there any shared facilities or utilities that would be shared with the complex? Right now we have storm drains and sewer lines that may be tied into that Kroger property. I would just like to make sure that this is independent of Sterling Cove. We did have some issues years ago with some sewer backup in our community from the Kroger area. That's all I have. Thank you for your time, and I hope you consider this.
Thank you. Our next speaker.
This is William Vaughn once again on the board, Sterling Cove Condominiums. We had a Ms. Meredith Travers send to the Portsmouth Planning Department 3 of our major concerns, and you should have those available to look at. Number 1 would have to be the road situation that Bobby talked about. And of course, the existing infrastructure. Thank you.
This is Joanne Clark. I'd like to make a comment.
Okay. Thank you. You can go ahead.
I concur with the folks from Sterling Cove Condos. In accordance to Use Permit Standards 40.1-2.3, Item 5I, to maintain the safe and adequate access and ingress-egress to safe road conditions around the site, I would like to see an actual city staff traffic report and see if they actually concur with the standards provided by the developer, the applicant.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Clark.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else on the call who would like to address Z-2003 and UP-2004? Appearing to be none, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed. Just so that you know, we will be voting on these items separately. Mr. Chairman.
If there's no more discussion, if not, we're in need of a motion and a second. We will be voting on Z-20-03. Again, we're voting on Z-20-03. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We need a motion for Z-20-03. We need a chairman.
This is Commissioner G. I move for acceptance of Z-20-03.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
This is Commissioner Thompson. I second the motion.
Madam Secretary, we have a motion and a second. We are voting on Z-20-03.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A motion and a second. Commissioners, as I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Yes.
Commissioner G?
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman?
Yes.
This item is approved by a vote of 6-0. Our next item.
Commissioners, we will now be voting on UP-20-0-24. UP-20-24. The chair's in need of a motion.
Zero.
Is it 0?
Yeah, this is Commissioner G. I move for acceptance of UP-20-04.
Is there a second?
Yes, this is Sherry Thaxton, a second.
Madam Secretary, we have a motion and a second for UP-20-04.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, as I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Yes.
Commissioner G?
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman? This item is approved by a vote of 6-0. Our next item, Z-20-02 Forrest Park. Jamie Fairclough requests a rezoning of 801 Commerce Street. The property is zoned urban residential UR. The applicant proposes to rezone the property to industrial IL to construct a parking lot in support of a commercial business located in the immediate south at 804 Douglas Avenue. The property is further described as tax map 164, parcel 17. The comprehensive plan recommends high-density residential development for the property. The staff coordinator is Stacy Porter. Will the staff coordinator for this application please come forward and present your application at this time?
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Stacy Porter, Senior Planner with the Planning Department, and I'll provide a brief overview of the applicant's request. The parcel is located in the vicinity of the Port Norfolk neighborhood. The property is located at the southwest corner of Commerce Street and Douglas Avenue and is zoned urban residential UR. The property is approximately 0.16 acres in size and is vacant of structures and site improvements. The previous single-family home located on the property was demolished in 2019. The property is now fenced, which is shown in the photo on the slide. Now I'll describe the surrounding land uses and zoning. To the north is residential development zoned urban residential UR and high density urban residential URH. To the east is a commercial land use zone industrial IL. And to the west is residential development zone urban residential UR. And the applicant's company, known as Stewart Moving and Storage, is located to the immediate south at 804 Douglas Avenue, as I pointed out here on this slide. The business operates with several moving vans, and they're in need of additional parking spaces for these vehicles. The applicant proposes to use the adjacent property to the north at 801 Commerce Street for a parking lot. They propose to regrade the property and utilize asphalt millings to create a durable parking surface. No other improvements are proposed for the subject property. Planning staff recommends the approval of the applicant's request. The comprehensive plan recommends high-density residential development for the parcel. However, staff finds that the parcel is not a viable location for residential land use due to its location immediately abutting a commercial/industrial property. The proposal to use the property solely for a parking lot will serve as an appropriate buffer between the residential development to the north and west and the commercial and industrial development to the east and south. Should City Council choose to approve the applicant's rezoning request, the applicant will be required to perform a minor subdivision to incorporate the property at 801 Commerce Street into the applicant's property to the immediate south at 804 Douglas Avenue. In addition, they will be required to submit to the site plan review process and comply with all applicable codes. This concludes my presentation.
Commissioners, I will now call each of you your names and provide an opportunity for questions and or comments. I have none. Commissioner Thompson?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Porter, did you get any comments from the neighbors?
I didn't, and I did send it to the Civic League, and I got nothing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Thaxton?
No, sir, I have no comments or questions.
Commissioner G?
I also have no comments or questions.
Commissioner Coleman?
I have none at this time.
Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the public hearing on item Z-20-02. Citizens will be called upon to provide comments or questions and are asked to verbally identify yourself prior to making comments and to mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Will the applicant for Z-20-02 come forward To provide any additional information or comments, state your name and your address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamie Faircloth. I'm with Stewart Moving and Storage. I just wanted to say that I appreciate you guys' time today in considering this rezoning application. The being able to have additional parking for our vehicles would be huge. Right now, as things stand, we have a lot of drivers that come in from out of town, and they are forced to park along Douglas Avenue. We feel that if this is approved and we are able to use that property as a parking area, that will alleviate some traffic concerns there on Douglas Avenue. That's one of our biggest issues, one of the biggest things we wanted to remedy. That's about all I've got. I appreciate you guys' consideration. Thank you.
Commissioners, I will now call each of your names and provide an opportunity for questions of the applicant. I have none. Commissioner Thompson?
No questions.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, what sort of buffer will you provide, particularly south of your property? I believe there's some residential development just south of you.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't hear your question.
I'm just wondering what you're going to do to possibly screen this parking area from the neighbors.
We actually have we have put up 8-foot chain link fence surrounding that entire area on the side there. And we, as in the proposal, we propose to regrade the surface and use asphalt millings to put down a nice durable surface there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Thaxton?
No questions.
Commissioner G?
I have no questions.
Commissioner Coleman?
I have no questions.
Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item Z-20-02. I have no registered speakers. If there is someone on the call who would like to address this application, you may do so at this time. Press *6 to unmute your mic, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Appearing to be none, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed.
Commissioners, if there's any more discussion, if not, we're in need of a motion and a second. Commissioners, before making a motion, please identify yourself.
Sherry Thaxton. I'd like to make a motion to approve Z-20-02.
Is there a second?
This is Donna Coleman. I second Z-20-02.
Madam Secretary, we have a motion and a second for Z-20-02.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Yes.
Commissioner G?
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman?
Yes.
This item is approved by a vote of 6-0. Our next item, CBE-20-01, Park Manor. David Wakeman requests a Chesapeake Bay exception at 110 Shore Drive. The property is zoned urban residential UR. The exception request is for an after-the-fact deck located in the resource protection area's seaward 50-foot buffer. The property is further described as tax map 651, parcel 12.1. The comprehensive plan recommends low to medium density, single-family residential development for the property. The staff coordinator is Stacy Porter.
Again, good afternoon. This is Stacy Porter, Senior Planner with the Planning Department, and I'll provide a brief overview of the applicant's request. As was mentioned, the request involves an after-the-fact wood deck in the resource protection area seaward 50-foot buffer. Development and land disturbance in the seaward 50-foot RPA cannot be approved administratively and must be reviewed through the formal exception process outlined in the Chesapeake Bay Ordinance. The photo in this slide shows the constructed deck on the rear of the property. During December of 2019, the Permits and Inspections Department cited the property owner for a building code violation and issued a stop work order for a completed deck structure on the rear of the home. According to the GIS aerial photography, the yard was previously developed with a concrete patio, which was approximately 400 square feet in size, within the landward 50 feet of the resource protection area buffer. The new deck was constructed over top of the concrete patio footprint. As shown in this slide, it might be hard to see, but it's the purple shaded area shows the resource protection area for the property at 110 Shore Drive, as well as the adjacent parcels. The resource protection area's 100-foot buffer fully encompasses the rear yard of 110 Shore Drive. This is the physical survey provided by the applicant. I've highlighted the edge of the wetlands, as well as the 50-foot and the 100-foot resource protection area buffer lines. The new deck is approximately 506 square feet in size. Approximately 77 square feet of the deck encroaches into the seaward 50-foot RPA buffer. Today's request is to retain the seaward buffer encroachment. As part of the code mandated water quality impact assessment to mitigate for the entire 506 square feet of land disturbance in the resource protection area, the applicant proposes to provide 2 planting units, which are comprised of 2 canopy trees and their weeping willows, 4 understory trees and their red buds, and 6 shrubs, and they chose rhododendrons. Planning staff recommends the denial of the applicant's request. The applicant has not demonstrated that the request is the minimum necessary for relief. There was no effort made to eliminate or reduce the encroachment into the seaward 50-foot buffer area. In addition, no building permit or zoning compliance permit was obtained prior to constructing the deck. This concludes the presentation.
Excuse me. Commissioners, I will now call your names and provide an opportunity for questions or comments for Ms. Porter. I have none. Commissioner Thompson?
I do have a question. Is the recommendation of denial because they did not get a building permit prior to?
Yes, it is, because it did require the building permit. Even if you don't know you need a Chesapeake Bay exception or review, still we do encourage our citizens to get permits, building permits at least.
So if the applicant applied for a building permit after the fact, which I have seen happen personally, would that remedy the situation?
Well, what we would have done, we would have probably worked with them to try to resize, but it's hard when you try to work with someone after the fact when they needed a building permit. But in this case, we just had no opportunity to really work with them to try to minimize. In fact, I'm thinking of another Chesapeake Bay exception you all reviewed where we had an opportunity to really work with the applicant to try to minimize her encroachment into the seaward buffer, and we were given no opportunity here. And really, it's because the permit was needed, and we feel like at least they should have called for a permit, if nothing else. If they knew nothing about the Chesapeake Bay ordinance, at least to call for the building permit.
I understand that. So then they are going to be forced to tear this deck down. Is that correct?
It's only if it's up to you all. I'll say that. We have our recommendation, but certainly you all can make your own decision.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Yes, Ms. Porter, is this deck only covering the concrete slab that was there, or does this extend beyond where that slab was?
It extends beyond where the slab was, but it's, I think, 77 square feet extra. But again, we're leaving it up to you all. We're making the recommendation of denial, but certainly you all are welcome to work with the applicant.
No, well, what I was thinking is the Chesapeake Bay Act was probably brought out after this house was built. Is that correct?
Yes, this is a pre-October 1st, 1989 lot. That's correct. It predates our Chesapeake Bay ordinance.
Okay, and so the concrete slab predated that also.
I have not researched that. I just know from a previous few years, the GIS mapping showed the concrete patio was there. So I don't know how long it's been there. I'm not sure.
Okay, that helps me understand this. So the applicant not only had a slab that may have been encroaching, but then he extended beyond that slab, which made it even worse. Was that an accurate assessment?
Basically, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Thaxton?
No, sir, I have nothing.
Commissioner G?
I don't think I have any questions or comments at this time.
Commissioner Coleman?
No, none for staff. Thank you.
Madam Secretary?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the public hearing on item CBE-20-01. Citizens will be called upon to provide comments or questions and are asked to verbally identify yourself prior to making comments and to mute your microphone when you're not speaking. Will the applicant for CBE-20-01 come forward to provide any additional information or comments? State your name and your address for the record, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak.
Mr. Wakeman, be sure to unmute yourself by dialing *6 on your phone.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Wakeman. My wife and I reside at 110 Shore Drive here over in Elmhurst. It was my mistake, and I fully understand the consequences of my actions. I built this deck thinking that I didn't need a permit, basically sea lawyering because there was already an existing structure. To address the one gentleman's comments about the slab that was existed here, to my wife and I's knowledge, it's been here the whole time. However, she purchased the house before we were married, sometime in 2017. Miss Porter and I have been working together. I would like to clarify something that I don't necessarily agree with. I don't feel that we did not make attempts to rectify this. Ms. Porter and I discussed that the process that our best course of action, would be to go down this road and apply for a Chesapeake Bay exemption. I didn't understand that I should have tried to get an after-the-fact permit. The permits office told me I had to go through this process before I get a permit. But it's all regretful at this point. I'll do anything to rectify this violation, including if my proposal currently with the 2 planting units is not acceptable, I would also propose that I remove the steps, which are what extend beyond the original footprint of the concrete patio that existed. Also of note that the original concrete patio did not extend past the wetlands end of the home. So I am from upstate New York and was completely unfamiliar with permits and such. So I apologize for my actions. And next time, if there ever is next time, I will be more effective at trying to work things out, I suppose. That is all I have.
Commissioners, I will call each of your names to see if you have any additional questions of the applicant. I have none. Commissioner Thompson?
Mr. Wakeman, yes, I do have a question. I believe you said that you would be willing to get the building permit, but they said that you had to get this exception first?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
and you've also proposed to do the 2 planting units that would afford relief to encroachment into the Chesapeake Bay buffer zone.
Yes, as the structure as it's built here, I really did not understand that I could have continued the permits because the permit office on multiple occasions told me that I had to work things out through the planning commission before I could get or even apply for a permit. Yes, but I would, if I can go through that process and get the exemption under my proposal, that would be outstanding. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And if in that building permit approval process, you were required to make your deck smaller, that would be agreeable for you?
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, whatever I need to do to make this right.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you not understanding the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Act. There's a lot of things there that are confusing and you don't really know until you live here. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Youngblood?
No further questions, except one for Ms. Porter. Did we get any comments from the neighbors or any other citizens there?
I didn't.
So I understand there were no comments from the neighbors.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Porter.
Okay.
Commissioner Thaxton?
I'm just curious, how long have you, when did you purchase that house and moved into it? Just out of curiosity. Mr. Wakeman?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. My wife bought it before we had met, I believe in early 2017.
Okay.
Commissioner G?
As a firm believer in the saying, happy wife, happy life, I can understand this predicament. And Mr. Wakeman, as we proceed, if we were to approve this, I would encourage you to follow up with both the Planning Commission and the Permits Commission on how we can better inform residents on policies such as this. I mean, I think this can be used as a learning opportunity, not just for you as a homeowner, but for us also as a city for how we can better inform homeowners. I could see myself even getting in a very similar situation. So I do encourage, as this process plays out, for everyone to use this as a learning opportunity.
Commissioner Coleman?
Hi, no questions at this time.
Madam Secretary?
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing on item CBE-20-01. I have no registered speakers. If there is someone on the call who would like to address this application, you may do so at this time. Press *6 to unmute your mic, and you will be given up to 5 minutes to speak. Appearing to be none, Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Commission, this public hearing is now closed.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Commissioners, we are now in need of a motion we'll be voting on CBE-20-01. Now, an affirmative vote will be a vote to approve the applicant's request. Is there a motion?
A point of order, Chairman, that would be based on the motion that's made, though. Prior to the motion being made, we can't confirm that. For instance, if I was to make the motion to approve this, then an affirmative vote would be in favor of approving
Well,
this.
we'll wait till you make the motion.
Roger that. And I guess I'll go ahead and take this opportunity. It's Commissioner G. I move to approve CBE-20-01.
This is Commissioner Thompson. I second the motion with the conditions that the applicant follow through with the building permitting and the CDPA requirements.
I accept that friendly amendment.
Say that again.
I was just saying I accept that friendly amendment to the motion.
Oh, well, good. I can just say that's a different motion. So we have a motion.
And a second.
With the conditions and a second. Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, as I call your name, please reply with a verbal response. The motion is to approve CBE-20-01 with conditions where the applicant will follow through on items discussed earlier. Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson?
Yes.
Commissioner Youngblood?
Yes.
Commissioner G?
Yes.
Commissioner Thaxton?
Yes.
Commissioner Coleman?
Yes.
This item is approved 6-0 with conditions. Okay. Mr. Chairman?
Madam Secretary, I believe that concludes our agenda for today. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, I will call your name, and if there's any further business, please let the chair know. I have none. Commissioner Thompson?
I have no further business.
Commissioner Youngblood?
No further business.
Commissioner G?
I have no further business.
Commissioner Thaxton?
No, no further business.
Commissioner Coleman?
Nope, no further business. Thank you.
As a reminder to the planning commissioners and the public, the next meeting of the planning commission will be held 2 weeks on Tuesday, September 1st at 1:30 p.m. Mr. Baldwin, is there any further business?
No, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to thank the planning commissioners for going through our first public hearing process with the planning commission. I think all in all, it went pretty well. I would ask if you have any suggestions or feedback or comments on how we can continue to improve on how we do this, you please let us know. We will continue to work on refining it, but I'd like to also publicly thank Meg and Regina and the entire planning staff for all the time and effort they have put in to try to make this process under these challenging circumstances go as well as I think it did today. So I'd like to make sure we publicly thank everyone for that, and that's all that I have.
I want to thank you all for joining us today, and our meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.